A big hello to all E-Biz professionals. To kickstart this newsletter, we have 4 exciting news to share with you. Alright? Although it more than 1 year of living with COVID-19 disease, we should rejoice and be happy. You ask why? Here is the answer. The number of COVID-19 cases is now stabilized. In fact, there are strong signs that Malaysia's GDP is slowly improving upwards. Therefore, we should be prepared to do more business locally and overseas in the near future. True or not? In order to inspire more confidence into you, this month's E-Biz Pro newsletter we highlight 4 interesting news. Believable? Briefly. Exciting news number 1. Manufacturers seek empathy. Exciting news number 2. Plastic factory license revoked for violating SOP. Exciting news number 3. Helping SMEs promote products digitally. Exciting news number 4. Free 8th chapter on sales after the sales of book 7 Giant Steps to Selling Excellence. Enough of my long intro. Let's get to the meaty part of this month's newsletter. Shall we? Exciting news number 1. Manufacturers seek empathy. Pedaling Jaya, the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, FM, is calling for agencies involved in enforcement activities on companies operating under Phases 1 and 2 of the National Recovery Plan (NRP) and the Enhanced Movement Control Order (EMCO) to take on an empathetic stance. Its president Tan Sri So Thian Lai said these agencies should take on a more educational and advisory stance on their enforcement instead of approaching it on a very aggressive and microscopic fault-finding mission. He said this is where companies are immediately imposed fines, with very little opportunity and time given for them to rectify the faults, especially minor oversights. Very little empathy is shown in companies that are struggling to sustain operations. Instead, many enforcement visits or checks are driven to find the tiniest fault in the premises with no consideration on the level of relevance of the fault in relation to the core purpose of the visit, i.e., to prevent COVID-19 infection spread, so said in a statement. FMM has been receiving complaints from members on very hostile enforcement teams and on fines being imposed for the tiniest fault or slight deviation of the COVID-19 Standard Operating Procedures (SOS), which are not done on purpose, as adherence to the SOS have already been ingrained as part of the new normal of business operations. So said FMM calls on the government to focus on speeding up the vaccination process, especially in the EMCO areas, to immediately contain the further spread of the virus. Source: The Star. 10th June 2021. Next up, exciting news number 3. Helping SMEs promote products digitally. The state government, through the Johor Entrepreneur Corporation (PUB), has selected 45 small and medium enterprises to be part of the Johor Entrepreneurs Marketing Program dubbed Inspirasi Johor. State Investment, Cooperatives, Entrepreneurship Development and Human Resource Committee Chairman, Datuk Mohd Izhar Ahmad said the program aimed to help entrepreneurs promote their products on social media by providing them with basic marketing skills. Those involved have been training in video editing, script writing, and copywriting for 3 months starting from March, aside from boosting their content through social media like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. The SMEs involved range from crafts, food and beverages, tourism, service providers and food truck operators, he said when contacted. Mohd Izhar added that the corporation planned to get more participation from SMEs in the next round of the program. The result of their training will be shown on PUJB's YouTube channel PUJB, where the entrepreneurs will showcase their products from how they are made to how they are sold to customers. The promotional videos have been aired throughout June and have received over 80,000 views, he said. Mohd Izhar hoped the program would help spur more new media-savvy entrepreneurs to promote their own products and generate a continuous income. The government plays an important role in creating a supportive environment for the entrepreneurs. Their creativity and their will to survive will help generate income, not only for themselves, but for Johor and Malaysia as a whole. It is only through entrepreneurship that we can create an independent society, he said, adding that this was important for Johor to continue developing for Johor and Malaysia as a whole. Johor Food Truck Association President Yusrazan Samsuri, who was grateful to be part of the program, hoped the initiative would help more SMEs move towards digital marketing. The pandemic has pushed SMEs into the digital way of conducting business, such as giving customers the option to place orders through apps and social media, as well as make payment through e-wallet and sending products through a delivery service. These are the new ways of marketing. Failure to adapt to these changes will only lead to our own downfall, he said. Yusrazan hoped more entrepreneurs would be brave enough to change their conventional ways and go digital. Source: The Star. 6th July 2021. Lastly, exciting news number 4. 1/8 free chapter sales after the sales of book 7, Giant Steps to Selling Excellence. By the way, I believe my part is finished, and I hand over the rest of Miss Teresa, yet another victual assistant, Miss Teresa. Okay? Exciting news number 2. Plastic factory license revoked for violating SOP. Selayang Municipal Council (E-Biz) has revoked the business license of a plastic goods factory and ordered it to be closed for operating when it was not categorized as essential service. The factory in Sungai Buloh also did not have the relevant documents from the International Trade and Industry Ministry to operate. E-Biz Corporate Communications Director Muhammad Zin Mazood, in a statement, said the factory's ongoing activities were found out during a joint operation with the police to check on compliance with COVID-19 standard operating procedure. E-Biz took action by revoking the factory's business license and ordered the operator to close immediately. The police also issued a compound of Rm 10,000 under Rule 17 of the Emergency Ordinance Act 342 Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases 2001 Amendment, he added. Muhammad Zin said that throughout Phase 1 of the National Recovery Plan, E-Biz had carried out daily monitoring and inspections in areas under its administration, including public markets, industrial areas, vehicle workshops, public spaces, business premises, hawker stalls as well as offices of joint management bodies and management committees. E-Biz has checked on 1,683 premises and 855 traders from June 1 to 30. Some 90 notices and 68 compounds were issued, plus 40 premises were ordered to close, he said. Muhammad Zin said a total of 296 verbal warnings were also given to traders to comply with the SOP. E-Biz will continue its daily monitoring to ensure the public, traders, and business operators comply with the SOP and government instructions, he added. The public can refer to E-Biz social media platforms for the Council's latest announcements. For details or complaints, call 3 to 6126 5800 or visit www.ems.gov.my. Source: The Star. 18th July 2021. More news.
Thanks, Miss Sophia. May I greet you a warm welcome. By the way, name is Teresa. Yet another virtual assistant to CTM Joseph SFNG, your sales and marketing expert. That said, here is my presentation of Chapter 8, which is Sales After Sales. Okay, thanks. Here's goes. Chapter 8, Sales After the Sales. Quote, post-sales activities are necessary to buyer's satisfaction and enhance the salesman likelihood of securing future business. By David L. Kurtz and another. He is currently the RA and Vivian Young Chair of Business Administration at the University of Arkansas. Once you sold, shut up. Many salesmen don't know when to stop talking. They continue to sell after a commitment has been made. By doing so, they run the risk of ruining the order. Logically, you will naturally want to get his order in writing, but if you force him to go over it again, he may have second thoughts. Obviously, most us are eager to assure the customer that he has made a right decision, but if you praise him too effusively, he may become suspicious. However, you would want to settle all details, but if you raise new questions in his mind, he may wonder what he has gotten himself in for. Be aware of the fact that you should not display too much happiness, to the extent that your customer may conclude that you have managed to get the better of him, that you are making too much out of the deal. The super salesperson knows that, once you have made the sale, it pays to shut up. If the prospect indicates halfway through your presentation that he is willing to buy, don't sell any more. More talk may simply trigger more objections. Don't say anything which could just possibly jeopardize your customer's commitment. If you must keep talking, change the subject. Discuss the weather, golf, football, music, or anything but the business you have just concluded. The second area that you must be aware of is that you must always ask the customer or non-customer for referrals to other people. Your best sources of new prospects are always people whom they have bought from. After you have completed the sales interview successfully, every single salesperson has the experience that where they have asked for the referral from someone who may not even bought anything who later became the very best customer. So professional salespeople always ask every customer if they can give them 2 or 3 names of other people who may be interested in his product or services. Always ask for 2 or 3 because the person will always choose to give you 2. This is an alternative close applied to get referrals. And then ask them whether you can have their phone numbers. Always these people, when they give you referrals, they will give the names of the people that they know fairly well. And they almost always have their phone numbers handy. When they have given you the phone number, ask them again which one of these 2 you think I should call first. Invariably, they will tell you who they think would be the best prospect, and then you must ask, Mr. Prospect, while we are here, or, while we are talking, as soon as we finished, could you call this person and tell them I will be getting in touch with them? Almost invariably, they will say, sure. Why not? Because they are usually next to a telephone. They will pick up their phone. They will give a very brief introduction and they will say, LT, this Joseph will be calling on you about something. I thought it's going to be interesting and you should listen to him. They will hang up the phone. Simple as that. Without doubt, a referral is worth more than 15 times a cold call. Remember, the key to selling effectiveness is gaining trust, relationship, and credibility. When you get a referral from someone, you piggyback on the trust, friendship, and the credibility that of the other person. You don't have to go in cold and establish your credentials. Never let an after-sales situation pass by without asking for referral. The key to successful selling is to talk to more prospects, especially those that have been referred to by your satisfied customers. The third important area you must be taking care is the power of writing short notes. It's often said, short notes gives long results. To illustrate my point, let me relate to you a story told by one of my participants who attended my seminar at Pudu Raya, KL. The salesman told me that whenever a sale is closed by him, he would go back home that evening and write a personal note in his own handwriting to the people who had the same day bought from him. In doing so, he also stressed that it's important to use these live stamps sold in the post office, not those from the postage machine. It gives more of a personal touch to use postage stamps. According to him, he feels that is all right to use company stationery and papers, and he says you must hand address the envelopes. In most of his notes, this is what is usually say. A personal note to thank you for your courtesy and the profound confidence you have placed on me today. I enjoy very much visiting you and your family. I am proud that you are now pleased you are now using the automatic gate. I know you will benefit from it and be pleased with the result. I be in touch with you in the future to see whether I can be of additional service. In the meantime, if require assistance of any kind, please feel free to contact me. Thank you. George Lee. This letter, new or note, I agree, will paint a lot PF pictures, and it gives a customer a "we care for you" attitude and an assurance that he did the right thing. Let us examine this note carefully, phase by phase. Thank you for your courtesy. I enjoyed visiting. I am proud of you. You will benefit and be pleased. I shall be in touch if you need or want assistance. I believe that Mr. Lee is trying to get the message to his customer that he is a man of reliable character who can be of assistance and who is in fact a friend and a good guy. That is the feeling that we should leave with the new customer that we have just finished dealing with. The last and not the least to is remember, even the salesman does not close the deal, he or she must nevertheless leave with a happy face. It assures the salesperson to have a positive welcome the next time he visits the prospective buyer. This chapter would not be completed if no advice is given to a salesperson who has been rejected by a prospect. The departure from the prospect when no sale is made can be disheartening. As always stressed in many of my workshops, these are the following things a professional salesman must think and do. Believe me, as a general rule, the attitude of a competent salesperson who has lost the sale should be no different from that of the successful person. I must admit, it is easier to preach than do, for it takes a good and well-adjusted salesperson to smile and act friendly after trying many times to make an unyielding person to see the salesperson point of view. It must be done. During the course of my workshop, one successful and dynamic salesperson related this incident to me. He told me quite frankly that after one unsuccessful call on a prospect, he called again a second time on the same prospect. The buyer admitted saying, "Do you know you are the first salesperson who ever went away without an order and who actually thanked me for the time I gave him." In fact, the buyer said that he already sold him these goods when you were here before. In my experience with hoteliers, there are times that months on end there would be no sales were forthcoming. This does happen even when I visited the many hotels in the city after several visits. It would be wise to adopt a positive attitude even when several visits have resulted in no sales. Therefore, in order to be any successful salesperson facing this situation, there are 3 attitudes a salesperson must avoid. He should avoid scorn, anger, and inferiority. A third-rate salesperson who has failed to sell a car may shun the prospect who had too little taste or the means to buy. The salesman may be angry and show it. Lastly, he may feel so defeated that he assumes an air of sorrow, which I believe is almost equally bad. It's hard to remain pleasant in face of a turndown, yet you must show a cheerful one, for right there a new sale may be started at the future date. When the turndown is received in the outer office, it is even harder to take without emotional pain, but this, too, must be overcome. It does not even pay to let the prospect's staff see that you have been humiliated in any way. Always keep a cheerful self-confidence with poise unshaken. A good final impression on the prospect's employee will be valuable at a later date. A real professional salesperson will be able to sense the certain rejection before it arrives and will prepare and exist quietly. Such capable salespeople will normally guide the conversation into other related matters, changing the subject nicely and perhaps saying something like this. Well, I.V. got to be getting on. I.V. enjoyed our visit a lot and will look in again someday soon. Goodbye. A graceful exists is important should the closers failed after the 6th attempt. Such exist would ensure the way for a return. You should try to prevent the prospect from turning you down flatly. If the prospect has not gone on record, there is a better chance to reopen the sale than if the prospect had been permitted to do so. Summary: in a nutshell, these chapter can be easily summarized in 4 salient points. Would you agree? Nevertheless, you must be reminded, firstly, when a sale is a done deal, then it is best for the salesperson to stop taking about the sales, but he or she should take about the other topics which the customer likes. Secondly, the sales professional must always ask the customer or non-customer for referrals to other people that may need the product or service. This ensures you will have more prospects to sell to. Last but not the least, have the good habit of writing follow-up notes. They should contain words of gratitude to the customers. Would these few sentences give you a good short version of this chapter? Conclusion: therefore, my final deduction of this chapter on sale after the sale must be firmly recorded that every sale must without excuse to religiously follow the 4 ideas stated in the chapter. In truth, I myself had carry out the sales after the sale routine. Normally I quietly celebrate the sale success with a big hot famous branded coffee. At the same time, I will leisurely write a thank you follow note. This has helped me to sell more with the same customer too. To end this chapter well, remember the words of a famous Prime Minister of India, Mahatma Gandhi: relationships are based on 4 principles: respect, understanding, acceptance and appreciation. So, in all honesty, I personally urge you to seriously make it a habit to write such notes. It really worked. Trust me. Goodbye. See you again in the next chapter. Shall we? Thanks. PS: to enhance your learning, please click this link. Web links. End of chapter 8. End of July 2021 Real Estate Sales Pro Newsletter. Goodbye everyone. From your virtual assistants Miss Sophia and myself Miss Teresa. Thanks.